As we get some people in here, playing a song. It's called Ancestry's Last Breath. I would ask for everyone to bow your heads while this is being played and pray for Colt and Molly's family today. This is not going to be a drama stream, so please leave your drama at the door. Hello, ma'am. Thank you for stopping by. I'm going to go ahead and turn it down so I can read this to y'all. Can you guys put a 1 in the chat if you guys can still hear the music in the background? Molly and Colt Miller vanished July 2013 following a high-speed police chase in Love County, Oklahoma, where their wrecked car found days later. Their disappearance involves suspicious circumstances, alleged police corruption, and a driver who did not report them missing. I'm having to breathe while I read through this. I'm glad they've been found. The chase on July 7th, 2013, 17-year-old Molly Miller and 21-year-old Colt Haynes were passengers in a car driven by James Connip, who led police in a high-pursuit chase. The disappearance after the chase. They went missing. Their car was found 2 weeks later on the same road, but the pair was never found. Suspicious activity. Despite a broken ankle, Con was calling friends for a ride after the crash, but those friends never reached them. The investigation issues. The investigation was plagued by alleges of corruption involving the Love County Sheriff, who was reported related to the driver Nip. Case status. The case is considered cold, but is still under investigation by the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Many theories exist, including that they were lost in the woods or that the driver, James Connip, was involved in their deaths. I'm going to go ahead and read from February on Reddit. This one comes from Unsolved Mysteries. Human remains found in the search for missing Oklahoma teen Molly Miller and Colt Haynes. This is KXII, y'all. Oklahoma News Channel, Oklahoma, and Northern Texas. Human remains have been found during the extensive multi-agent search operated this week in Love County, Oklahoma, related to the disappearance of Molly and Miller and Colt Haynes 13 years ago, officials announced Friday. The Lighthorse Police Department and the Bureau of Indian Affairs Missing and Murdered Unit had a search operation February 17th in connection with the ongoing investigation of Molly, a Chickasaw citizen, and Colt Haynes. Search teams continued operating February 18th in Love County, in the area between Allsalt Road and Pikes Road and Long Hollow Road. During the search, 2 sets of remains were discovered. The remains were collected by the FBI Investigation Response Team in Oklahoma, Office of Chief Medical Examiners and Forensics. Examiners haven't identified yet. The remains is unknown, and it is also unknown if the remains are connected to the ongoing missing persons case. KXII 12 crew spotted dozens of law enforcement cars, trailers, and side-by-sides traveling along Oswalt Road between Pikes Road and Long Hollow Road. Hey, Cash, hon, how are you? Cash, sweetie, they found them. They found them. The remains have been identified as of 30 minutes ago. I'm happy. I'm so happy for Paula. But now the questions are, what type of shape were the remains in when they were found?
On the morning of July the 8th, 2013, in the rural backroads of Love County, Oklahoma, a 17-year-old girl named Molly Miller was frantically calling anyone she could reach. Her phone was dying. She was lost somewhere in the woods near Long Hollow Road. And in one of her final phone calls before her phone went dead around 9:39 a.m., she was crying so hard that her friend couldn't understand what she was saying. Now, 6 minutes later, her friend Colt Haynes made his last call. He told people he'd fallen out of a tree trying to figure out where they were, and that his ankle was so badly broken the bone was sticking through the skin. Then, at 9:47, Colt's phone went dead. Molly Miller and Colt Haynes have never been seen or heard from again. And here's the thing that makes this case even more bizarre. The guy who was driving the car they were in during a high-speed police chase the night before, he made it home just fine. In fact, he was sitting on his front porch the next morning like nothing ever happened. His name was James Con Nip, and his cousin just happened to be the sheriff of Love County, a sheriff who would later be arrested by the FBI for running a meth house and harboring fugitives. Years later, Molly and Colt's families are still looking and searching for their children, in a case so corrupted by cover-ups and lies that nobody knows who to trust. Now, all that said, let's jump into today's story.
Molly Molly Miller was born on April 30th, 1996, and she grew up in the tiny town of Wilson, Oklahoma. Population maybe 1,600 people on a good day. And Molly was what you'd call rambunctious, outspoken, a firecracker. The kind of girl who played softball and basketball like her life depended on it. The kind of athlete who
I was trying to get to you, Cash. I was trying to put it in the chat. Molly was 17. Colt was 21 whenever they went missing.
coaches said had real potential. But Molly was also wild, and by the time she hit her teenage years, she was getting into serious trouble. She started hanging around with the wrong crowd. She'd skip school, argue with her mom, stay out all night, and her mother, who loved Molly desperately, was at her wits' end trying to control her. In November of 2012, about 8 months before Molly disappeared, her mother called Molly's aunt and asked if Molly could come live with her, just to get Molly out of Wilson, away from the bad influences, away from the people who were dragging her down. The aunt agreed. They made plans, but those plans never came together. Molly stayed in Wilson, and one of the people Molly had been hanging around with was a 21-year-old guy named Con Nip. Now, Con Nip had a reputation. Everybody in Love County knew who Con was. He was notorious for getting into high-speed police chases just for fun. He'd steal cars, abandon them on his family's property, and somehow, he'd never get arrested for any of it. And the reason he never got arrested? His cousin was Joe Russell, the sheriff of Love County. Molly's family knew about Con. They knew he was trouble. But Molly was friends with him anyway. She'd been down to Long Hollow Road, where the Nip family lived, multiple times with her friend Jessica. And then in late June or early July of 2013, Molly met a guy named Colt Haynes. Colt was 21 years old. He just had a baby with a girl named Katie Ingram. And here's where things get complicated, because Katie used to date Con Nip. In fact, Katie and Con had dated for 3 years, from 2009 to 2012. And according to Katie, Con was abusive. He'd tie her to a bedpost. He'd hit her. He'd threaten her life. So when Katie left Con and started dating Colt, and then had Colt's baby in October of 2012, you can imagine Con wasn't too happy about it. Colt hated Con because of what Con had done to Katie, but Colt also had a drug problem, and Con sold drugs. So even though these two guys despised each other, they were connected through the drug scene. And on July 7th, 2013, Molly Miller, Colt Haynes, and Con Nip all ended up in the same car together. What happened next would change everything. On the evening of July 7th, 2013, Con Nip picked up Colt Haynes from a house in Ardmore, Oklahoma. Colt had been staying there, and according to some people who knew what was going on, Colt had drugs that needed to be moved. And even though Con and Colt hated each other, Con agreed to help. Molly Miller was at that same house, and when Con showed up to pick up Colt, Molly went with them. Now, what happened during the day on July 7th is a little unclear. We know that at some point, Molly was dropped off somewhere, possibly at a relative of Khan's house in Wilson. We know this because Molly's phone records show that she was calling Khan and Colt throughout the day, trying to get them to come pick her back up. And eventually they did. By that evening, all three of them, Molly, Colt, and Khan, were back together in Khan's girlfriend's car. It was a 2012 Honda Accord that belonged to a woman named Sabrina Graham. And then at around 10:30 p.m., Khan Nip did what Khan Nip loved to do. He pulled into a convenience store parking lot in Wilson, Oklahoma, where a deputy's car was parked, and he started doing donuts, spinning around, kicking up gravel and rocks, showboating right in front of the cops. Two deputies saw him, and they took off after him. Now here's the thing. Wilson, Oklahoma is in Carter County, but Love County is just south of Carter County. And Khan knew that if he could just get across the county line into Love County, his cousin the sheriff would call off the chase. So Khan floored it.
No, Cash. Yeah, it is a scary case. Hold on. What you guys love. That's why I keep myself muted normally, is because the. Oh, gosh. But yeah, Molly and Colt's case I've been following since it happened because I used to be friends with Joe. I mean, of course, it was 2010 last time I saw him, so 3 years since all this took place. At that point in time, I don't think he was hot and heavy into the drug scene. I think the family was actually a good family. Something happened. I know you do. That's the reason why I didn't mute myself, Cash, just because I know the train you love. You and my buddy Far, right?
He got that Honda Accord up to 120 miles per hour, racing down the highway with Molly and Colt inside, ignoring the deputy's calls to pull over. He crossed the county line into Love County and started heading down back roads, gravel roads through thick forests. The Carter County deputy lost sight of him because of all the dust being kicked up, but Love County deputies picked up the chase. One deputy, a good deputy named Johnny, tried to lay down stop sticks to blow out Khan's tires, but by the time he got them down, Khan had already passed. Another deputy tried to cut Khan off before he could get to Long Hollow Road, the dead-end road where the Nip family lived. But Khan turned off his headlights and came barreling toward the deputy at full speed. The deputy had to swerve into a ditch to avoid a head-on collision. And then Sheriff Joe Russell, Khan's cousin, radioed the deputies and told them to call off the chase. So they did. Khan Nip disappeared into the woods near Long Hollow Road, with Molly Miller and Colt Haynes still in the car. And that's when everything went wrong.
When you die, you go to another life. Maybe heaven, maybe purgatory, maybe hell. These are the kind of questions that make us puzzle profoundly about our existence.
At 12:57 a.m. on July 8th, about an hour and a half after the chase ended, Molly Miller dialed 911 from her cell phone. The call lasted 5 seconds.
I hate that with Restream. Anytime you try to copy something or anything like that, it automatically mutes it.
The 911 operator heard nothing but Molly hitting buttons on her phone. No voice, no screaming, just buttons being pressed. And then the call dropped. The operator called back. No answer. For the next 9 hours, Molly and Colt made frantic phone calls to anyone they could reach. Molly called a total of 10 people between midnight and 10 a.m. Colt was using Molly's phone for a lot of those calls because his phone was dying. And in those calls, Colt said they were lost. He said they'd been in a high-speed chase with Con. He said they needed water. He said he'd climbed a tree to try to figure out where they were, and the branch broke, and he fell, and his ankle was so badly broken that the bone was sticking out through the skin. He said he was lying in a creek bed because he didn't know what else to do. One of the people Molly called was a guy named DJ, and DJ actually got a four-wheeler and went out looking for them. But the problem was, Molly and Colt didn't know where they were. They couldn't give DJ accurate directions, and DJ ended up on the wrong road, Bear Hollow Road instead of Long Hollow Road. He was 10 miles away from where Molly and Colt actually were, so he gave up and went home. Colt also called a group of 4 friends, Rob, Benita, Colby, and Devin. And around 9 a.m. that morning, these 4 friends started driving around Love County trying to find Molly and Colt. Colt was on the phone with them, furious, screaming at them because they couldn't find him. And at one point, the 4 friends drove down Long Hollow Road and pulled up to Con Nip's house. Con was sitting on the front porch like nothing had happened. His Aunt Jennifer was sitting next to him, talking on the phone. The 4 friends asked Con, "Where are Molly and Colt?" And Con said, "They're just messing with you." But then Colt called Con directly, and whatever was said in that conversation, we don't know. But afterward, Con told Rob, "Do you remember where we left the Mustang?" Rob said yes. Con said, "They're close to there." Now,
I know how to do it, Cash. I know. That's why, I also have the music playing in the background for the fair use. I have the rain falling. I have us moving. I know. I'm not scared. It's just hard for me to talk whenever I don't have anyone to talk to. You know this. That's why I like having a panel and having someone up with me. Like I said, with this case, I get stuck. I hit hard places. And it's nothing like Nancy Guthrie's case, because guess what? I don't hit no hard places with that case. I can tell you that sheriff is dirty as dirty can be. He may not have made Nancy go missing, but guess what? He sure ain't helping this situation with his BS. But if you run the music in the background, they really can't get you for fair use. I don't know if you know that. That's the reason why I do play music and stuff. They really, really can't nail me for the fair use part. I remember I am friends with some of these bigger YouTube channels. All right, back to what we were watching.
this is important because Con was referencing another time when he and Rob had been in a high-speed chase together and ditched a stolen Mustang out in the woods. So Rob knew exactly where Con was talking about. Con also told them they could walk across his family's property to get there faster. But then he changed his mind and said, "No, you can't cross my property."
Base 44 Super Agent. Careful, there's no going back. No setup. Just say hello.
So the 4 friends.
My other thing is I like to listen to see what they're saying to make comments after the video. Like I said, I have a hard time with this case. There's a lot of times I won't talk about this case because of how many problems I have with it. You know, like I've said many times, I know you were. I know. Like I said, the remains have been identified. It is Molly and Colt. Now we gotta figure out, did Con harm them? Did Joe harm them? You know, we have to ask those questions, and those are some very, very hard questions to ask, especially if you knew the person. You know, it's nothing. I mean, it's not even like with Arctic. I have no questions for Arctic. You fucked up, buddy. I'm done. You know, that's where I leave it. Just like with how I'm going to say this because it has nothing to do with what we're airing right now. I have to apologize. Friday, I did say some things that were out of line. I did make some light-hearted jokes. In my opinion, they were lighthearted. But me and the boyfriend talked about it, and he said because of his jobs and stuff, I have to apologize. So I'm apologizing. So now you can go snap that, me apologizing, and play it on your channel like you're going to. See, now you 10 to 4. I knew you were in here listening. Oh, no, I don't, Cash. You're mean.
Drove back around to Pike Road, which was on the other side of the Nip property. And one of the guys, Rob, got out of the car and jumped a fence to go looking for Molly and Colt. But then Rob said he heard a four-wheeler and a horse coming toward him, and he got spooked and ran back to the car.
Well, the sad thing is I didn't think of anyone grabbing it and going and playing it, Cash. I mean, someone said something about dark, murky water and the alligators, and I popped off. I know some YouTubers. It didn't say who. I know some YouTubers who need to be swimming in it. Anyway, back to the show. Sorry, y'all. Didn't mean to go off rails. Didn't mean to turn it to a hot situation. For the three that are still here listening.
Then, for reasons nobody can explain, the four friends just gave up and went home. They didn't call the police. They didn't keep searching. They just left. And Colt was furious. He was screaming at them over the phone, calling them every name in the book. At 9:39 a.m., Molly made her last call. At 9:47 a.m., just 8 minutes later, Colt made his last call. And then both of their phones went dead within minutes of each other. Molly Miller and Colt Haynes were never heard from again. The next morning, Molly's mother tried to file a missing persons report with the Wilson Police Department.
Taylor's bold voice, southern sass, and a whole lot of grit. Here's a poem that captures that fiery spirit, mixing chaos, charm,
Sorry, y'all, the
and
train.
unapologetic truth. Taylor's train wreck. Rolls in loud like a midnight rail, lip gloss blazing, heart full of hell. Southern grace with a side of bite, she'll bless your soul and start a fight. Tracks ain't straight in Taylor's town, she'll derail peace just to wear the crown. Bitch and bold with a rebel's flair, truth bombs dropping like she just don't care. One hand on sweet tea, one on the mic. roast your lies and still sound polite. Drama's fuel and shakes her steam. She's the conductor of your broken dream. But don't mistake the wreck for mess. She's poetry in a torn up dress. A hurricane.
That's okay. I'm getting ready to leave YouTube. I hate to tell everyone that, but with all the drama going on over here, I'm gonna be leaving. Not right now, but at some point.
She rolls in loud like a midnight rail. Lip gloss blazing, heart full of hell. Southern grace with a side of bite. She'll
And I'm not gonna tell anyone where I'm going either. Can you still hear that, Cash? Everything's gonna glitch out on me.
They told her Molly was probably just a runaway. So she called the Love County Sheriff's Department, and Sheriff Joe Russell, Con Nip's cousin, refused to even take the phone call. He told the dispatcher, "It's not my problem." The dispatcher felt so bad for Molly's mother that she took the information herself and made a flyer. She posted it inside the sheriff's department, but that was it. No investigation, no search, nothing. It took Molly's family going to the media before anyone started taking this seriously. And when a journalist called Sheriff Joe Russell to ask about the disappearances, Russell told them they're runaways. And that was the story. Runaways. Meanwhile, Con Nip was sitting at home, completely free, like nothing had ever happened. It wasn't until the Oklahoma State Highway Patrol got involved that things started moving. They discovered that near the end of Long Hollow Road there was a fence that had been badly damaged by Con's car during the chase, but it had never been reported. And then, 2 weeks after Molly and Colt disappeared, Con's car was finally found. It was sitting in a field near where the chase had ended. The car was totaled. $18,000 worth of damage to the undercarriage through being driven through barbed wire fences and rough terrain. But here
I had been searching on other websites, but I couldn't find the stories or the records I was really looking for. Luckily, a friend told me about Genealogy Bank, and when I tried it, I was able to confirm that I actually have Native American relatives. So I traced my family back to the Cherokee Nation. I found birth.
But here's the strange thing. From the outside, the car didn't look that bad. You could almost think you could still drive it. One of the windows was broken from the outside in. Glass was found on the ground near the car, and more glass was found inside the car. And when investigators eventually got the car to the FBI forensics lab, they tested it for blood. I won't tell you what they found, but let's just say it raised a lot of questions. After a year of waiting and hoping that someone, anyone, would do something, Molly's family hired a private investigator named Philip Klein. And Philip Klein started digging. He looked at the cell phone records, he interviewed Molly and Colt's friends, and he started putting together a timeline of what happened after the chase. Here's what he believes. After the chase ended, Molly and Colt fled the car on foot while Con kept driving. They ran into a ravine to hide while Con drove his car through the woods until it finally died. Then Con ditched the car and ran home. Molly and Colt spent the entire night lost in those woods, making phone calls, trying to get someone to find them. And then, according to Philip Klein, Con came back. He came back and picked them up. And then something happened. Something terrible. Philip Klein believes that Molly and Colt are buried somewhere on the Nip family property, and he has 3 main reasons for believing this. Reason number 1. In 2014, cadaver dogs were brought out to search the area where Molly's phone last pinged. The dogs alerted to human remains in multiple spots on a hill right next to the Nip property, only about 100 yards from where Khan ditched his car. But before investigators could do a full excavation, a witness came forward and said there had been a massive fire on that exact spot. A fire that burned down trees, destroyed grass, and completely dried up the ravine. And that fire happened on the Nip family property. Reason number 2. An undisclosed witness handed over a 9mm handgun and a machete to Philip Klein. Both items had a dried substance on them that resembled blood. This witness claimed that Khan Nip's mother had given these items to him, and according to the witness, Khan had given these items to his mother on the night of July 8th, the day after the chase, and told her to hold on to them. Philip Klein handed the gun and the machete over to the Oklahoma Bureau of Investigation for testing. They couldn't confirm DNA linking them to Molly or Colt, but it was enough to change Molly's case from a missing persons case to a homicide investigation. Reason number 3. In July of 2015, a federal grand jury was convened to investigate Sheriff Joe Russell for corruption. And during that grand jury test...
Okay, a really quick rundown, Raging Cajun. Molly and Colt went missing in 2013 after a police chase that was done by a gentleman named Con Nip. The remains were found February 20, I would have to look again, 20-something, back in February. They had been missing for almost 13 years.
Testimony, someone testified under oath about what happened to Molly Miller. Let me read you part of that testimony. The prosecutor asked this witness if she knew anything about 2 people who went missing in Love County 2 years earlier. She said yes, Molly Miller and Colt Haynes. The prosecutor asked if she knew who they were with when they went missing. She said, Con Nip. The prosecutor asked how she knew that, and here's what she said, under oath. She said that Con had picked up Molly and Colt in Lone Grove and was bringing them back to his Uncle Colby's house to pick up more dope. And then, according to what she was told, they had a huge party at Colby's house, and they ran trains on Molly. That's the phrase used in the testimony. Ran trains. A gang rape. And this happened after the chase. After Molly had been lost in the woods for 9 hours, after her phone went dead. The witness also said that Con's Uncle Colby had told her, while drunk and crying, if something happened on your land, wouldn't you cover it up to cover your ass? That's what we do down here. We can't tell the cops. In 2017, Sheriff Joe Russell was arrested by the FBI. Not by Oklahoma State Police, by the FBI. He was charged with maintaining a meth house, harboring fugitives, and misconduct in office. And during the federal grand jury testimony that led to his arrest, witnesses testified that Joe Russell allowed his son to sell drugs right out of his sheriff's patrol car. They testified that Joe would go down to the river, handcuff girls in bikinis, tell them they were being arrested for public intoxication, bring them back to his house, and force them to inject him with drugs, while his son and others watched. They testified that Joe Russell's house was a hub for drug activity in Love County. Joe Russell was convicted, but he barely spent any time in jail. He did a walkthrough at the county jail and was released. Eventually, the Oklahoma Attorney General removed him from office, but by that point, the damage was done. For years, Joe Russell had protected his cousin Con Nip. He'd allowed Con to get away with high-speed chases, stolen cars, and who knows what else. And when Molly Miller and Colt Haynes disappeared, Joe Russell refused to investigate. He called them runaways. He wouldn't take a missing persons report. He told Molly's mother it wasn't his problem. And now, 10 years later, Molly and Colt's families are still searching for answers. So what happened to Molly Miller and Colt Haynes? Here's what we know for certain. On July 7th, 2013, Molly and Colt got into a car with Con Nip. Con led police on a high-speed chase that reached 120 miles per hour. He ditched the car in the woods near his family's property on Long Hollow Road. Molly and Colt spent the night lost in the woods, making frantic phone calls for help. At 9:39 a.m. on July 8th, Molly made her last call. At 9:47 a.m., Colt made his last call. Both of their phones went dead within minutes of each other. They were never seen again. Con Nip made it home just fine. He was sitting on his front porch the next morning like nothing had happened. Cadaver dogs alerted to human remains on the Nip family property. A massive fire burned the exact spot where the dogs had alerted. A 9mm handgun and a machete with blood on them were traced back to Con Nip. And someone testified under oath in a federal grand jury that Molly was sexually assaulted at a party on the Nip property after the chase.
Any questions at this point in time? If not, I'm going to go ahead and hit play.
But here's the problem. There's no physical evidence, no bodies, no witnesses willing to go on record. Just rumors, tips, and testimony that leads nowhere. Philip Klein believes Molly and Colt are buried on the Nip property. Molly's family believes the same thing. But without bodies, without forensic evidence, without someone willing to tell the truth, this case remains unsolved. Con Nip has never been charged with anything related to Molly and Colt's disappearances. In 2014, he was sentenced to 10 years in prison for the high-speed chase that night, but he only served 4 years. He got out in 2018.
The remains were found February. Give me a second.
Don't mistake the wreck for mess. She's poetry in a torn up dress. A hurricane wrapped in velvet lace, with fire in her eyes and steel in her grace. She rolls in loud like a midnight rail.
The two sets of remains believed to be those that, well, now we know, two sets of remains that were found who were believed at the time to be Molly and Colt. Now we know they were Molly and Colt. Were identified or were discovered February 18th, 2016. They have been identified by the United States, by Oklahoma, by the FBI as being Molly and Colt. Released today on Monday, April 6th. Does that answer that question? Raging Cajun.
And as of today, he's walking free. The theories. Let me lay out the main theories in this case. Theory number 1, Con Nip killed them. This is what most people believe. Con picked up Molly and Colt after they spent the night lost in the woods. Something happened, maybe an argument, maybe something related to drugs, maybe something worse. And Con killed them both. The cadaver dogs, the fire on the Nip property, the gun and machete, the grand jury testimony, it all points to Con.
Matter of fact, I have an announcement from the Indian Affairs. Announcement April 6, 2026 at 2 p.m. to 2:15 p.m. Love County, Oklahoma. The Department of Indian Affairs Bureau of Indian Affairs missing and murdered unit have identified one set of remains as those of Molly Miller, a citizen of Chickasaw Nation who disappeared in 2013. The remains were found February 18th during a large-scale search led by the Bureau of Indian Affairs, Missing and Murder Unit, and the Chickasaw Nation Light Horse Department. The search covered more than 1,000 acres in Love County in an area between Oswald Road, Pikes Road, and Long Hollow Road. The Oklahoma Office of the Chief Medical Examiners confirmed and identified on March 31st. The Oklahoma Office of the Chief Medical Examiner confirmed the identification of Molly and The identification on March 31st, according to the official Miller family, were notified this morning. Sorry, I'm also talking to Death. He is very broken. Where was I at? I was talking to Death. He was asking me some questions. He's at work. I won't see him until Wednesday, y'all. So there may be some more of these, spontaneous pop-ups. Because I also want to cover the fact of everything going on in the Nancy Guthrie case, which will probably take about 4 to 5 hours. I will give you a heads up. I know I went over some of it on Friday. I really didn't get into the meat and potatoes of it, so probably later on this evening after I'm found with heads over, I might come back live, depending on how I feel. Anyway, back to where I was at. Okay. Light Horse Police Department. The search covered more than 1,000 acres in Love County in an area between Oswald Road, Pikes Road, and Long Hollow Road. The Oklahoma Office of the Chief Medical Examiner confirmed the identification on March 31st, according to officials. Molly's family was notified this morning. Today confirms. Just a second, guys. I'm going to hit play.
But here's
I'll be
the
right
problem
back.
with this theory. The timeline doesn't quite work.
I'll finish reading it.
She rolls in loud like a midnight rail, lip gloss blazing, heart full of hell. Southern grace with a side of bite, she'll bless your soul and start a fight. Facts ain't straight in Taylor's town, she'll derail peace just to wear the crown. Bitchin' bold with a rebel's flair, truth bombs drop it like she just don't care. One hand on sweet tea, one on the mic, she'll roast your lies and still sound polite. Drama's fuel and shakes her steam, she's the conductor of your broken dream. But don't mistake the wreck for mess, she's poetry in a torn up dress, a hurricane wrapped in velvet lace, with fire in her eyes and steel in her grace. Mary's bold voice, southern sass, and a whole lot of grit. Here's a poem that captures that fiery spirit, mixing chaos, charm, and unapologetic truth. Taylor's train wreck. She rolls in loud like a midnight rail, lip gloss blazing, heart full of hell. Southern grace with a side of bite, she'll bless your soul and start a fight. Tracks ain't straight in Taylor's town, she'll derail peace just to wear the crown. Bitch and bold with a rebel's flair, truth bombs dropping like she just don't care. One hand on sweet tea, one on the mic, she'll roast your lies and still sound polite. Drama's fuel and shakes her steam, she's the conductor of your broken dream. Don't mistake the wreck for mess, she's poetry in a corner.
Khan was seen at his house by the four friends around.
Guys, I did not mean for that to happen. I had to go to the bathroom. The mother-in-law-to-be was blowing her horn. So I was kind of in the middle of a bunch of stuff. I apologize. Now I see I'm down to 2, which is probably me and Raging Cajun. Yay. Back to what I was doing over here, though. I was reading this. Okay. Miller's family were notified this morning. Today confirms confirms response and meaningful steps towards bringing a long-awaited answers to the disappearance of Molly and Colt. Molly and Colt. Or sorry, disappearance of Molly, said the BIMMU, acting under Chief Medical or Chief. Anyway, the natives are talking up about it. Our hearts remain with Molly's family, and we hope this development provides even a smallest measure of closure and clarity. The Bureau of Indian Affairs Missing Murdered Unit will continue to press every lead and stand with every family we serve as we confirm the missing and murdered people crisis. This effort reflects the Department of this crisis. The Chickasaw Light Horse Police Department remains satisfied in the community to press awareness in all cases involving our missing and murdered Indigenous people. And Randy Wesley, Chickasaw Nation community of the tribal law enforcement through. Anyway, let's go down to this part. The second set of remains has been identified as Colt Haynes. Both families have been notified. Authorities are continue to investigate the circumstances surrounding the deaths and provide updates as more information comes available. Investigators said the search area had not been previously examined and was identified after new information emerged and access to the land was obtained. Now, I can tell you, before the gentleman that owns the land now, before him, gotta breathe. Gotta remind myself to breathe. Before I just have so much I want to say. I don't know how to put it in words. We still don't know who did it. We don't know if it was accidental. We don't know if it was on purpose. So before we start jumping to conclusions and start attacking the family or families involved, and I'm not, no longer, I haven't seen any of them. Let's see here, 13 years plus. No, 13 plus 3, 16 years. Since the last time I saw Mr. Joe Russell, I can tell you Timbuktu was sold the last time I saw Joe. It was closing weekend at Timbuktu. And they said they were buying Timbuktu to turn it into a church. Now it's a garage. Anyway, back to what we were doing here. And as I said, everyone, will you please pray for Molly and Colt's family for closure and justice, whatever that might look like to them. I didn't come in blaring this song for nothing. While we listen to this song, let's send up prayers.
"9 a.m. Molly and Colt were still making phone calls at that time. Their phones didn't go dead until until 9:47 a.m. So if Khan killed them, he would have had to leave his house, find Molly and Colt in the woods, kill them, hide their bodies, and get back home, all within about an hour. It's possible, but it's tight. Theory number 2. Multiple people were involved. This is Philip Klein's theory. He believes that Khan wasn't acting alone. He believes that Khan's uncle Colby and possibly others were involved. Remember, Rob said he heard a four-wheeler and a horse when he was out looking for Molly and Colt. That means at least 2 people were out there in the woods that morning. Klein believes that after Molly and Colt's phones died, Khan and others picked them up, brought them back to the Nip property, and something terrible happened. The grand jury testimony supports this. The witness said there was a party. She said Molly was sexually assaulted. She said Colby admitted to covering something up. This theory makes more sense timeline-wise, but again, no bodies, no evidence.
Supplies are low. Deliveries are low. late. You can scream all day, or you can try the way.
Theory number 3. They're still alive. Some people believe Molly and Colt ran away together, that they staged the whole thing, that they're living somewhere off the grid. But Molly's family says there's no way. Molly was extremely close with her mother. She would never go 10 years without contacting her. And Colt had a newborn son. He wouldn't have abandoned them. So this theory, most people don't buy it. Molly Miller was 17 years old when she disappeared. She had black hair that was graying, blue eyes, and a circle tattoo on her right hand near her thumb. She was last seen wearing a white t-shirt and black shorts. Colt Haynes was 21 years old. He was a young father with a drug problem and a complicated life, but he didn't deserve to disappear. If you have any information about the disappearances of Molly Miller and Colt Haynes, please call the Love County Sheriff's Department. Though I'll be honest, given the history there, you might want to call the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation instead. Molly and Colt's families are still searching. They're still hoping. They're still fighting for answers. And they're not giving up. Neither should we. So what do you think happened in this case? That's what makes these cases worth covering. Not because they're mysterious, but because someone's life ended without explanation, and the people who loved them deserve better than a file in a box somewhere gathering dust. If you found this case as compelling as I did, do me a favor. Hit that like button. It helps YouTube's algorithm push this video to more people. Share it on your social media. Post it in true crime groups. Send it to someone who might have information. You never know who's watching. You never know who might
See, with the ending lines there, that tells everyone that we can watch this without them coming after us. Whomever this channel is, I do thank you so much. Once again, the name of the channel is... Let me bring it over here so I can see it. I shared their link one time already, and I will share it out again for anyone who cares. This is... I don't want you down, I want you up. Cold Case Project. The strangest unsolved disappearance I've ever seen is the title of it. Like I said, I can share again. Make sure everyone gets this and go sub up to them. They put out a lot of good cases if you're into true crime. And they're actually very, very friendly because I've used a lot of their stuff for my trivia, believe it or not.
This may shock you, but witches are often born on these dates.
We know exactly when witches are born.
But the call dropped. Colt began making calls, eventually got a hold of his friends and said that he was in the woods somewhere he didn't really know.
Hold up. First, let's look at the train.
17-year-old Molly Miller.
But while I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and I will share this link. This is Dr. Oz show covering Molly and Colt. I hope he doesn't strike me.
and her friend Colt Haynes haven't been seen or heard from since July 8th, 2013. On the night before they appeared, they were in the...
What the heck? Let's get the train past us.
Haven't been seen or heard from.
Cash is for you. Is saying choo choo, any cash? I think he's finally passed us.
Heard from since July 8th, 2013. On the night before they disappeared, they were in their friend Con's car when he decided to lead police on a high-speed chase through the thick backwoods of southern Oklahoma. For some unknown reason, the sheriff, who was also Con's cousin, called off the police pursuit, and Molly and Colt were never seen again. But their family and friends haven't given up finding them. The oxygen show Up and Vanished is uncovering shocking new evidence in the case. Up and Vanished host Payne Lindsay joins me now. Welcome back, Payne.
Thank you.
So let's go into the story. How did you learn, or what had you learned about the hours before Colt and Molly disappeared?
Late that night, around 12:45 a.m., Molly called 911, but the call dropped. Colt began making calls, eventually got a hold of his friends and said that he was in the woods somewhere he didn't really know, but they could never find him. At 10 a.m., all calls stopped, radio silence.
For both phones?
For both phones.
Now, James Con Nip, who goes by his middle name Con, was the last person seen with Molly and Colt before they disappeared. When Payne was in Oklahoma, he learned more about Con and that night from Molly's cousin. Con eventually served 4 years in prison for the car chase that night. Why did Con even do that? Why would he get into a police chase with his car?
I mean, he's just a punk. He's like just trying to make the police mad and go on a little adventure.
Well, 4 years is a pretty hefty penalty to pay for that.
Absolutely.
So they must have been thinking about something else when they put him in jail.
Maybe. Yeah.
So you spoke to Con's ex-girlfriend. What did she reveal?
She told me that Con was basically verbally and physically abusive. I mean, painted a really horrible picture of this guy. He's definitely capable of violence.
Now, this is the same girlfriend that also was dating Colt, the missing person?
That's correct.
And did that upset Colt that his girlfriend was telling him these stories about Con?
I would imagine so. It makes you wonder why they were all hanging out together that night, because he didn't like him at all.
Right, so what would they have been doing together? Why would Molly and Colt get in a car with Con if Colt hated him?
I mean, who knows? Maybe they left a party and they didn't know exactly where they were going, or they thought he was going to drop them off somewhere, and then all of a sudden they were just stuck in the back seat of this guy driving around like a maniac.
Sort of bizarre. Then they call from the woods, but don't acknowledge anything specific. The whole story is strange.
It's crazy because out there in the middle of nowhere, and I mean the middle of nowhere, the woods, I mean, you could never find anybody out there, especially at night. So I'm sure they had no clue where they were or to even tell their friends how to find them.
In your research, you found a chilling report, a police report. About 12 days after Molly and Colt disappeared, it was filed. What was said in that report?
Apparently, Con had told a family member that he might be going to jail for murder. Kind of odd timing, if you ask me. Also, if I ever said that, I feel like the cops would be knocking on my door any minute now, but not the case for Con.
Was there no follow-up to this report at all?
Not that I know of, no. I mean, there was no intense questioning about this or anything.
So All I'm hearing are question marks, which I gather for many of you is also frustrating. Coming up, did one of Molly's family members predict her disappearance? Molly's cousin is here, revealing new details. I am back with Up in.
Didn't touch anything. What the heck? Hi.
Vanished host Payne Lindsay, who's investigating the disappearance of 17-year-old Molly Miller and her friend Colt Haynes. Since they were last seen in July of 2013, Molly's cousin Paula has been fighting tirelessly for answers, and she joins us now. So your cousin Molly will be 23 years old, is that right?
That's correct.
What do you miss the most about her?
Well, I miss that she's been able to grow into the woman that she should have been. We miss her laugh. We miss her, we miss the fact that she will never get to go to college and be the baseball or softball champion she should have been, So there's just so much that she's missed. She didn't get to graduate. She would have graduated that fall, or that spring actually. Prior to her disappearance, she was starting into her senior year.
When was the last time you saw her?
I saw her at our family reunion in May, Memorial Weekend actually, which is just a month and some days prior to her disappearance.
I mean, I think it's kind of self-explanatory. That's Molly's cousin. And next to her is Payne Lindsay with Up and Vanished. Payne also did the Tara Grinstead case and helped find Tara's murderers.
She had poison ivy the last time I saw her. It was really hot out, so she stayed in the house quite a bit during the time. And so we left that evening. My son and I headed home, and on the way home, he told me to turn around. And I said, why? He said, we need to go back and get Molly. I said, why do you think that? He said, something bad's about to happen to her, and we should go get her.
Oh my goodness.
We were in the process of moving at the time, so I told him, I said, once we get moved, maybe we can go ahead and I'll talk to her mom and dad and see if she can come straight.
How old was your son at the time?
Oh gosh, he was probably 30, at the time, 29 or 30.
So he was an adult who had insights.
He did, and I really wish, we dropped the ball. I wish we'd have turned the car around that day.
Well, I'm doing the proper pause and talk, so that way they can't go, oh, you didn't do this, and try to copyright strike me.
Not to say it would have never happened, but it could have prevented this from happening.
So you've been 6 years now working hard, tirelessly to figure out what happened with Molly and Colt. What keeps you going?
Well, Molly, I have her face plastered all over my house, and she talks to me. I just believe that her mother had contacted me initially to come and get her, or to come and help her find Molly. And I went down there mentally. I haven't left. My family is supportive. Now they are. It took a while to get to this place, but they've been supportive. But Molly just, she deserves the answers. Colt deserves the answers. So we'll eventually get there.
But you work with a lot of families fighting for answers. How does the pain that Paula feels and what their family is going through compare with some of the other stories?
I mean, Paula has so much fight and tenacity. You really do. Just your passion for the truth, and you really are making a difference, I think, in Molly's case. Just seeing that every day to me is very inspiring, and you don't always see that.
Thank you.
So part of the story that's bothersome to me is some of the familial connections. I don't feel like I'm hearing the whole story. So coming up, Payne's unbelievable confrontation with the sheriff, who called off the police chase the night that Molly disappeared. His message for her family is going to shock you. We're back talking about missing 17-year-old Molly Miller. Molly and her friend Colt haven't been seen since 2013 when they were chased by cops in the car of a man named James Con Nip, known as Con. The police chase was ended by Sheriff Joe Russell, who also happens to be Con's cousin. So, Payne, Joe Russell no longer works in law enforcement. What happened?
After an FBI investigation, he was arrested on corruption charges. They were actually selling meth out of the house. He was also harboring a fugitive who was wanted. All kind of stuff going on in that place.
And what? There's a couple of the audience members say, how said if it happened? But you went to talk to him. And Payne was in Oklahoma, and he confronted former Sheriff Joe Russell. Payne, how shocking was it to hear the former sheriff say he doesn't give a blank about Paula and her family?
I mean, in hindsight, not that shocking based on everyone's reviews of him. I think he's just a jerk.
Dawn, welcome in.
Clearly,
Or
I think,
Candace.
all of his actions add up to this
Can.
person right
Oh,
here.
that's
I
really
think
going to piss them all
he's
off.
got
You're in
something to
Dawn's
hide.
name.
Well, do you think the sheriff, former sheriff, Russell, knows more about your cousin Molly and Colt and what happened to them?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that he knows exactly what happened to Molly and Colt. I believe, and I've told him directly, Molly's blood's on his hands. He has allowed his family to continuously do as they please. He was sheriff for about 16 years before we came in and was able to get the FBI involved. His family terrorized that county up until this point, and pretty much their lives are no longer the same, just as ours is not. But he knows exactly what happened to him. Whether he will ever come about and tell us, I don't know.
And when he says he doesn't give a blank about you and your family, does that frustrate you?
As Payne said, yes, it's very frustrating, but I'm not surprised. I'm not the least bit surprised in his reaction.
What do you want James Con Nip to know today?
Well,
the last person to see your cousin Molly.
I spoke to Con a few months after Molly went missing. I went to his house where he was living with his grandparents. I saw compassion on his face when I told, we were there about 30 minutes, and I felt compassion toward him, and I thought he had some sort of struggle that day. I saw tears in his eyes when I asked him where she was. I told him, I know she was murdered, just tell me where she's at. And he told me he didn't want to go to jail. That's been about 6.5 years ago, and like I stated, I had compassion. I don't know if I still have the same compassion for him that I did then. I felt he was very young, and I felt that whatever happened, they didn't set out for this to happen. It's not something they set out the night before. Well, we're going to do this, and Molly and Colt aren't going to be alive tomorrow. I've never believed that is what the intention was. But he's had every opportunity to tell us where she's at, where they're both at, and what happened.
So what do you think happened that night?
I believe that Colt was killed the next morning, and I don't believe Molly was killed as quickly. I believe she may have been alive for a couple of days after Colt was killed, but I don't think they could let her go because of what happened with Colt.
She'd witnessed it.
Mm-hmm. And I believe they're buried on the Nip property. We have more than circumstantial evidence to get on that property or get a warrant for that property, but to this day, I still believe that we are fighting a battle with law enforcement in order to get the warrants that we need to get on the property. I asked the grandpa myself if I could search his property, and he told me to come back with a warrant. So.
James Con Nip declined to be interviewed by Payne and his team. Former Sheriff Joe Russell has previously denied knowing anything about the case. No one, I'm going to say this again, no one has been charged with any crimes related to Molly and Colt's disappearance. To see even more shocking evidence that Payne uncovered on this case, be sure to watch Oxygen's Up and Vanished. It's this Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern, so check it out. It's very well done. Thank you both for being here. I'm sorry that you're going through this.
Thank you.
But it's because people like you keep fighting for the truth that we get to the root cause of a lot of the bad things happening in the world. So keep the struggle going.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Payne. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out on new videos to live the good life.
So, I love my chat because we all show love to each other. We don't show no hate over here. We don't yell at people. We don't attack people. Unless they come in hot. Y'all, as I end this live, my biggest favor of all is please, 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 please send up good vibes, prayers, whatever you do to Molly and Colt's family. They need it right now. They probably need it right now more than ever. And I hope one day, whenever summer's found, we can all have love and compassion in our own hearts for Dawn and Candace, who in my books are innocent. I've said for 5 years Dawn and Candace are innocent, and I stand on
8 months after Molly and Colt went missing, a mysterious 911 call came into the Love County Sheriff's Department.
March 29 2. Thousand 14.
Hello? I was just on 911 listening to a 911 phone call, and they were talking about Molly and Colt, and I mean the girl that was killed and Dope. And, like, they didn't know that they were on 911. And it comes from a pond just north of Long Hollow Road on Oswald.
Join the investigation. Season 1, Partners in True Crime. What do you think?
And no, I will not give Partners in True Crime a shout out. So that's why we were here today. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you for all stopping by. Yes, we can all do cartwheels, Bubba. We can all do cartwheels. Now we wait. And if there is a court case and it is somewhat aired, it will be aired over here. We will follow this case from here on out. And I will take the stance of I don't know who's guilty if there is a court case. Thank you for all stopping by. I do appreciate every single one of you. And once again, I do want to apologize for Friday. I should never have said what I said, but I did. It is what it is. I can't take it back, but saying I'm sorry is free. Goodbye, y'all. Catch you next time. I might be on around 10 o'clock. Later.